Welcome back to Oshkosh Live. This next story, actually, the video that we just showed kind of reminds me of the whole ethic of the next story. In 1987, Peter Egan and his wife Barb were living in California and decided to get out of the rat race for a little while in the most unusual way. I don't know about you, but marriage, I believe, requires a certain degree of separation. Well, these two, for a whole summer, had very little separation at all. They flew 4,000 miles in a Piper Cub and camped under the wing most nights. So what was the inspiration for all of that, Peter?
Well, I guess I've always wanted to do a flight like that around the country. I think the first thing I ever really paid attention to as far as vehicles was airplanes. When I was a kid, I was crazy about airplanes and made model airplanes and read all the books I could. Spirit of St. Louis came to the Elroy Theater when I was a kid, and I got really fired up about aviation, so I had to read all the flying books. I took flying lessons in high school, but couldn't get my license. I couldn't afford it, and went to ground school and took a test and passed that. But I wanted to fly for years, and I really couldn't afford to do it or find the time until we moved to California. We were finally settled, and we were right near Orange County Airport.
And, by the way, became a world-famous automotive writer that everybody's heard of because he worked for Road and Track and was the lead columnist.
Yeah, I lucked out. I worked for Cycle World and Road and Track. It was a very lucky job connection for me because I could finally write about something I was really interested in. And
so millions of people around the world associate Peter Egan with cars, but not with airplanes. Now, Barb, when he came to you with this idea, I'm assuming it was his idea, what was the reaction?
Well, I have a little bit of an adventurous spirit, and so I wanted to take lessons too. And we actually did a ground school together at Orange Coast College, and it was 4 nights a week for like 3 or 4 hours at night, and then we both passed our flight school,
FAA exam.
Exam, yeah. Then he took lessons first, and when he got his license, then I did. Same airplane, same everything.
Yeah, tell us about the airplane. J3, 1945 model, I believe.
Yes, it was. It was originally built for the Army. It was an L4 model, and it was sold. It never saw service, I don't think. I think it was probably sitting on the ground at Lock Haven, tied down when the war ended. And I was told that it was sold to the, what was the? Shoshone Indian Reservation in Northern California.
Yeah.
And I said, a friend of ours said that the government sold a lot of those airplanes off to various organizations, federally connected organizations, for about $1. And it was probably used as, for ambulance work and, getting medical care to remote ranches and so on. But sometime in the 50s, it was sold and just became a training airplane for a succession of flight instructors. And somebody repainted it, took away the clamshell and turned it into a civilian airplane with yellow and yellow airplane with black
and lightning stripes.
Lightning stripe. And so when we bought it, it looked very much like a standard J3 Cub. You could see a couple welding spots where they had the old stretcher holder and so on in the airplane, but otherwise it was pretty much a stock 1945 J3, 65 horsepower engine, and
You're not a small guy. You're a small small woman, but the two of you in that Cub, not only was it cozy, it was performance limiting, shall we say?
Yes, it was. Well, the back seat in a Cub is where you're supposed to solo from, and that they've made that roomier. You can have your legs stretched out. I'm a little cramped in the front seat of a Cub, but Barb was very comfortable in the front seat. And but the two of us, we were pretty thin at the time, so that helped. But when we got to Madison, I took some of my big lumbering friends. men friends for a ride in the Cub and realized how lucky I was to have a lightweight wife who was sitting in the front seat, because the airplane took a lot longer to get off the ground with 280-pound guys in it. So
I resemble that remark.
There's a little serendipity going on here. Tom Wilson, editor-in-chief of Kit Planes magazine. They came to get you.
yeah,
My reputation precedes me.
Tom Wilson, the editor-in-chief of Kit Planes magazine, found out that I was interviewing Peter. They have a long association. They rode about cars together in California.
At Road and Track, yeah. Well, the difference is I was on the JV team at Road and Track, and Peter is definitely a A-lister. So, but yes, our time there did overlap, and I'm very excited, Peter, that you made the effort to write this book, because I think as one of your millions of fans, it's been a little bit of a drought lately, and I haven't had my dose of Egan.
it's called retirement.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing, too.
And some people call it laziness. And
Right.
Yeah.
But I was quite excited to hear that the book was out, and that I could sit down and curl up and enjoy some of your just endless storytelling.
Well, thank you. The pressure was on to do the book because I had planned to do a book when we did the trip in 1987, and I had taken all these notes. I had a little tape recorder in my pocket so I could record during the day what we were seeing from the air, and then I would write out the notes in the evening. So I had about 110 pages of typed notes on the trip, and a log book that not the regular log book, but I mean, I had kept a daily log of what we were doing. And so I had photographs. Barb and I had both taken snapshots. And I had kept all the Time magazines we got at our house while we were gone, so I would remember what was going on in the world. But I put all of this stuff in an attaché case, and it stayed there for 30-some years. And when I got back to California, I was working for both magazines, and I realized I was just I didn't want to spend my one day off, a week writing a book. I just needed not to be working all the time.
Overwhelming.
So I really waited till I retired to start working on it a couple years ago.
It's a beautiful book. It's a well put together book. Can we get in on it? Mm-hmm. We're going to be able to zoom in on the book. There it is. And it's got some photos of the trip, but there's a line that I really like in the beginning, with after you've taken off, the very first thing that happened as they're launching from this airport in California is the compass broke. And
yes.
I haven't finished the book yet, but did the compass ever get fixed?
Not until we got to Florida. We went to see my dad in Boca Raton. I think we went to the airport office of every small airport we landed at between Corona and Boca Raton, California, and nobody had a compass in stock.
Boca Raton in Florida.
Yeah. And so I thought, somebody would have one, but we were just waiting to take off, and I was doing the pre-flight or the run-up actually, and Barb pointed out that our compass was off about 4 degrees from the runway heading that we were pulling onto, and I said, several times we'd had to adjust it, so I gave her a little screwdriver to adjust it that I had in the seat pocket. And she reached forward and started to adjust, and it went ting, and it just started spinning around. So we had no compass, and I sat there. Okay, can we fly without a compass? Oh yeah, we know the roads. We're following highways and rivers, and railroads anyway. So
it was an IFR trip. I follow roads.
It really was. But we made it to Palm Springs, and then we landed at a small Bermuda Dunes just south of Palm Springs, and they didn't have a compass, and finally we just gave up and finally found one when we had some time in Florida. We actually had to ask at about 3 different airports in Florida, small airports, and we found one, had a $67 or $87 compass, and we finally installed it, but we didn't really need it too much at that point.
Yeah, and how much is that compass now? $7,000?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think, Peter, I think that was the most interesting part about the compass story was you went, 3/4 of the trip without it, more or less, 2/3.
Yeah.
And then once you get it, you don't really need it anyway.
The day we installed it, we were taking off to fly up the East Coast, up the coast of Florida and the Outer Banks. And I said, well, you don't need a compass. You can hardly go wrong. There's the ocean. The ocean, as long as the ocean stays on the right and the land stays on the left, we'll be fine all day long. So.
Right.
Now, you flew quite a bit of this trip, didn't you, Barb?
Yeah, I flew. When he would take a break and write notes, and I'd fly for a few hours. And but I didn't like turbulence, so if it got really turbulence and all of a sudden we went down, 1,000 feet, then I said, "You can take it." So I did fly quite a bit, though.
Okay, well, it's a really approachable book. I mean, a guy doesn't write about cars and motorcycles for 30 or 40 years without learning a little bit about how to convey thoughts and emotions. So it's a really approachable book, conversational style, and it's a book that you can give to your non-flying friends because there's enough context added by Peter to turn it into the kind of adventure story that has an airplane context. But for those of us that eat up airplanes, there's also enough detail and content to keep us satisfied too. So it's a good book for everybody. Excellent for summer reading, and we really appreciate you both coming in.
Thank you. It's great to visit. Nice to come over to EAA Air Adventure again too. We haven't been here for 1 or 2 years, so it gets a little bit bigger every year.
It does.
And my sister came along, who's never been here, from California, and she's amazed at the collection of airplanes and the
Collection
size
of people.
Yeah, people, everything that's
You
going
might
on.
have trouble finding her out there.
Yeah, I know. She's lost in the crowd there, and I hope she can reconnect with our family. But,
So, Russ Niles reporting for AvWeb from EAA AirAdventure 2025. This has been Oshkosh Live. Thanks for watching.